I got one question on my mind, Lycos.
I think I had the same question. What is it, bro?
Is Blaze f***ing dead or not?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Welcome to LoreX, y'all, where we speak on behalf of Schrodinger's Blaze.
Yeah, seriously. Is the cat on fire? Is the cat not on fire? Is the cat on fire but dead, or is the cat on fire but alive? We don't know. We're talking about Blaze.
Yeah, I mean, there's a concept of superposition and like quantum mechanics and stuff, but I'm trying to talk about anthropomorphic cat girl, not physics.
Is she dead or not? I cannot get a solid answer, and it bothers the heck out of me.
I mean, I guess we should talk about that first, right? Because we were kind of inching onto that during our last podcast episode. So I think like we've done a bit of research, right? And we've gone back through Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. We've watched the scene over and over again. We've done the research, and it seems that the consensus is that after Blaze takes Iblis into her flaming soul, that she, quote, fades away back to her dimension.
Yeah, which my biggest problem with her in 06, we're just gonna get this out of the gate. I don't know how or why she's there. Because literally, like, her wiki page doesn't even acknowledge Sonic 06.
Wait, I didn't notice that.
Like, literally, like, it has, like, the different sections for, like, the different games and whatnot, and it's not even one of them. It's, like, a sentence where it's like, oh, she can take Iblis into her soul because of the flames already within her, and that's it. It's literally a sentence.
Wow, there's no other details.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like, so you have a lot more context on Blaze the Cat as she appears in Sonic Rush and Sonic Rush Adventure, and I think we get the intention that Blaze can travel across dimensions.
Yeah.
I was under the impression that you needed something for that, but if she could just travel across dimensions at will, that's kind of OP, dude.
Despite the initial boundary separating them, Blaze now travels freely between her dimension and Sonic's to visit her friends. But how? My only thought is she must have some kind of bond with the Soul Emeralds after going Burning Blaze for the first time. That gives her that power to travel between dimensions. Or it could also be because she is the guardian of them, and maybe that gives her a special power as well.
Well, actually, before the events of Sonic Rush or Adventure, whichever one she first appears in, does she travel to Sonic's world, or does Sonic somehow travel to her world?
She goes to Sonic's world in Rush.
And that was before she got all buddy-buddy with the Soul Emeralds, right?
Yeah, she could not use their power because apparently you can't use the emeralds unless you have friends. You need at least one friend to use the power of the emeralds.
Because that's exactly how Facebook works.
She literally couldn't use it until she became friends with Sonic, and then the Soul Emeralds were like, okay, you're cool, here, have superpowers.
So then how did she get to, I guess, our dimension to begin with? Because I think it makes sense to me, like, you were wondering, like, you know, how did she get to our dimension during the events of Sonic 06? And I think it's clear to say that if she is buddy-buddy with the Soul Emeralds and she can channel their power, that gives her the ability to go across either many dimensions or just the two dimensions, right? But before that, going even farther back than that, which we don't have a lot of context on, where does she get that power to begin with? And I think, like, from what I was reading too, Blaze is just a really, really powerful girl.
From what I was reading, like, of the female characters in Sonic, she is the strongest of the lot because she can actually go toe-to-toe with Sonic.
Dude, for sure. And I mean, I was seeing too that they were specifically designing Blaze to be like the Soul Dimension equivalent of Sonic. So like, she's got main character energy. Call it plot armor, super powerful abilities that transcend anything else that anybody can fathom otherwise in the series. Like, she's got that, which stands to say that if she's got plot armor, she can be the Jesus analogy in 2006. She dies and then spontaneously comes back in other iterations of other games going forward and has so much power that we could just not retcon per se, but just like conveniently ignore her death and just let it simmer on its own. That's a heat joke, by the way. Simmer, you do that in cooking.
Okay.
Also, this episode can't continue unless we make a 420 blazing joke.
Oh my god, really?
420 blazing. Sta-na-na-na-na.
This simple question of how does Blaze travel across dimensions?
Well, not even a laugh.
It took me to Reddit.
Okay.
And basically everyone's like, yeah, they never explain it.
Well, I mean, looking back at the scene where Blaze takes Iblis into her soul and then subsequently rises up into the sky, goes blazing for a minute, and then subsequently goes like kind of yellow, transparent, and seems to go off in a blaze of glory. I guess that could be just dimensional hopping, but like if that's the case, where did she go? Every source says back to her dimension, but like that also brings into question whether or not can Blaze go between any dimension she wants to,
also,
or just
the
to her
thing
home
that
dimension.
people were confused about is how she got to Silver's timeline.
Oh.
Because that's not only alternate dimension, but that's also time travel. Because she's existing in the same time as Sonic the Hedgehog, but for Sonic 06, she also went 200 years in the future.
Oh.
So this is where people are very confused.
So let me get this straight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Blaze can travel between dimensions. We got that, right?
Yes.
But in order for the events of Sonic 06 to take place, Blaze would not only need to have traveled to these dimensions, but also traveled 200 years in the future.
Yes.
So that's confusing. And then the other confusing part is going back before Blaze ever supposedly had the power to go between dimensions, she somehow found herself in our dimension during the events of Sonic Rush. And there's no explanation for that either.
Yeah, because I'm literally on the plot of Sonic Rush, and it's basically Blaze the cat, a princess from the Soul Dimension, is pulled to Sonic's universe after Dr. Eggman steals the Soul Emeralds, 7 gemstones that are similar to the Chaos Emeralds. Blaze sets out to retrieve her emeralds and is joined by Cream the Rabbit.
Oh, well, I feel like a plausible explanation for that is if Eggman somehow managed to rip the Soul Emeralds from the Soul Dimension, I feel like it would make sense to say that Blaze was kind of pulled with them.
Yeah, that's what I feel.
And I wonder whether or not that was a consequence of Eggman's meddling or the will of the Soul Emeralds, because we know that the Chaos Emeralds and the Soul Emerald equivalents have like kind of a will of their own.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe as they were being pulled to our dimension, the Soul Emeralds were just like, well, we want to get back. Let's pull Blaze in. She doesn't know it yet, but we kind of like her.
Yeah, no, and also like that makes sense with the Soul Emeralds, because this would not be the only time they did something like this, because that is a theory on why Sonic and Tails were pulled into Blaze's dimension for Sonic Rush Adventure, was because the Soul Emeralds knew they were going to need them, so that's why they pulled them.
Right, because I forgot it works the other way around too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm still on the Sonic Rush page to see if we get any other explanation, but I don't think we do.
Take your time.
Cameron, you wanted to talk about Blaze's pyrokinesis.
Dude, it's fascinating. From what I was able to see, Blaze's pyrokinesis is not just, hey, I can spawn an ember in my hand. She's got like a fine control of fire. Mm-hmm. She's basically invulnerable to fire. She can engulf things in fire. She can like manipulate fire on like the smallest and also like the largest scale.
Yeah.
Like she is very, very familiar with her pyrokinetic powers. And I think that kind of makes sense because at least in Blaze's history, back when I guess she was growing up as the young princess of the Soul Empire, she was apparently made fun of for her fire powers.
Yeah.
So she's had this since the very beginning.
And I'm curious, like, how she got these powers. Like, if it was, like, some genetic thing from, like, her parents. Because we actually have zero information on her parents. We don't even have, like, pictures or anything.
Yeah, because to be fair, like...
And where they are in the timeline, like, it is very clear that her parents are no longer in the picture because she's in charge of everything.
Yeah. Oh, there's no queen of the Soul Empire, I just realized. She is the reigning princess.
Yes, so that's why I'm getting the vibe that, like, her parents are gone.
And that stands to question whether her pyrokinetic powers are, like you said, genetic, whether they're passed down from, like, the royal family. Because, like, the reason why Blaze is a princess is because there is a royal family line. Mm-hmm. And it would be fitting within the tropes that the magical power exists within the royal bloodline. Because we don't see anybody else in the Soul Dimension that has fire powers or even significant much powers at all, I think.
It's also interesting just talking about Blaze's background, because she like runs off and kind of does her own thing. Her kingdom really does value like freedom, but at the same time it also has like this guardian aspect, like she has to protect the Soul Emeralds and the Staff of Stars, similar to kind of how Knuckles has to protect the Master Emerald, except instead of like how Knuckles is and the Echidnas are more like
warmongering.
Not warmongering, like Aztec inspired, like Mayan inspired, versus Blaze, which I get more of a vibe of like Eastern European medieval times, like castles, knights, royalty, that kind of vibe.
That's fair. And I know at least in the early concept designs for Blaze, I recall they were mentioning that there was, oh yeah, in her original concept art, she was actually wearing clothing that was very similar to like Arabian style and stuff. And if you think about it too, like she's got the little oval gem like right in the center of her head. And that's something that you see in Indian culture, the bindi. So I think she draws from a couple of different, call it Eurasian populations, I think, for inspiration there. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, no, like I like her as a character. I love her design. She's kind of cold, which is fine because again, she has firepower, literally.
Ironic.
But she also has certain fears. I don't know if you saw it. She has acrophobia.
Yeah, she's afraid of heights.
So this
that was so funny.
This actually really bothers me. For a stunt they pull in Sonic Rush Adventure. After you get Blaze as a part of your team, you can finally play as Blaze. The next zone you have to go into is a sky area. She makes it very clear in the dialogue. She's like, I don't like heights, so count me out.
What?
She is the best character for the zone.
Why is that?
In the zone, there is a lot of fire and platforms on fire. She can't take damage from flames because if she stands on flames, the flames actually go down to the ground and dissipate and go around her.
Okay, so like mechanically, she's the best for the area.
Mechanically, she is the best for the area. But in lore, it's like, dude, she literally told you, don't send me up there. I don't like heights. And basically for the mechanics, you're like, oh, we'll just do it anyway. I'm like, I feel like that's really disrespectful and kind of a jerk move on that part.
I mean, this is Rush Adventure, right?
Yes.
So this is in her dimension?
Yes.
So it kind of makes sense that Blaze would have a home field advantage in worlds that are in her home world.
But specifically, like, this is like all area like really high up in the mountains that this is like the only zone she has this type of advantage here, because again, it has like platforms and stuff just covered in flame, which Sonic, your only option is to take damage and then iframe the rest of it, versus Blaze can actually walk through it no problem. There are no other zones that have stuff like this.
Yeah, and you're more familiar on those games than I am. I'll take your word for it. So let's see, we've talked about Blaze's pyrokinesis a little bit. Again, very fine control, like it's very impressive, but she's been doing this since she's been, you know, a kitten, so that kind of makes sense. We talked a little bit about like the royal family of the Soul Empire, which we don't get a lot of context on.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I just found out that Ian Bumbleking Flynn and Kyle J. Crib Kraus have a podcast together called The Bumblecast, where they talk about Sonic the Hedgehog stuff, right? And one of the episodes was just answering a bunch of questions related to how the Soul Empire would have negotiated dealings with other empires. Think of the Eggman Empire, Camelot, dealings with the Acorn Kingdom, or the Mobius Kingdom specifically in certain timelines and stuff. And they were kind of going back and forth about that. Oh, they even mentioned the Battle Cuckoo Empire from the Tales Adventure games. I thought was hilarious. And generally speaking, Ian was saying that the Soul Empire is kind of pretty good at negotiations and stuff. We don't have a lot of context on exactly how they're run,
like how their
peace
politics
negotiations are.
work and all that.
Exactly. But it assumes that they're kind of amicable, at least in terms of how they would relate to, let's say, the Kingdom of Soliana, for example, and they seemed like they would kind of get along. It doesn't appear that the Soul Empire is warfaring in the way that, let's say, the Echidna tribe, Pachacamax Knuckles tribes was, or let's say the Battle Cuckoo Empire. So at the very least, they're kind of an unknown political system, but it doesn't seem they're aggressive. They just kind of like keep amongst themselves. Maybe a little isolationists, but that's just me extrapolating.
Well, sticking to themselves, that could also just because they're in literally another dimension from what we're familiar with. And like, whatever existing communities are in Sonic's dimension, that's always been kind of vague because like it can't really be kingdom. Well, maybe it could be kingdoms per se, because we have stuff like Station Square, which that's very much like I always got like New York City vibes from that.
Yeah, or just like General City.
Like big American city. Actually, no, it is more like an American city because I just thought about the president.
Oh, yeah, at least a democracy.
Yeah, at least a democracy because, it has a president. Because we have seen him multiple times, once being casually chased down by a fox. I remember that stage. And the other is guys,
I found the president
in Shadow the Hedgehog.
Oh my gosh.
Because remember, it has that cutscene where he has the picture of Shadow and Sonic on his desk. I'm sorry, I can't take that man seriously.
My boys.
Those heroes who saved us once before. Sir, you just have a picture of two hedgehogs on your desk, and they saved this world before. yeah, we're planning on evacuating the planet. We don't think you're that great a president. Oh, huh.
Oh no, you bring up a good point too that like we don't know what other potential empires exist in the soul dimension.
Because a lot of the details
Unknown.
of the soul dimension are very unknown because we've only had one game set there and we didn't explore too much into like large land masses because as I've talked about previously, it's island exploration, very like ocean themed, very pirate themed, hence like Captain Whiskers and his whole crew.
And I forgot about that.
Again, we don't see too much of the soul dimension, and I would love if we get more into that in other Sonic games, because we got a bit into it for the Archie comics back when that was a thing, and we've delved a little bit into it in some of the IDW stuff. The biggest canology for the Sonic franchise is like the video game canon, so I would love to get more of that, and also get more explanation on how Blaze travels between dimensions, because again, that's kind of confusing that you're giving this character incredibly powerful ability.
Yeah, and we've talked about like the hierarchy of powers, and it seems like the power of the stars, which is the ability to gives the ability to go between dimensions, that seems to be like the highest form of canon power, because the between IPs power, and I can't remember what we called it that, but that was the whole like Super Genesis wave stuff. Like that's not canon, I don't think.
Yeah, because again, the Super Genesis wave did away with basically Sally Acorn and all those characters.
R.I.P. Sally.
R.I.P. Sally. We lost one princess, we have another.
Interestingly enough, like if you think about it, the way that Sonic 06 ended with Blaze burning for a little bit and then fading away. Interestingly enough, we see her continue to make cameo appearances in games going forward, like Sonic Dash Plus, the Sonic Forces Speed Battle.
Also,
and
the Olympic Games series.
That's true. And you see her in these series as blazing, at least for a little bit, burning, not blazing, my goodness, as burning at least for a little bit. So like maybe that is just kind of a part of the power of burning Blaze being burning. The ability to, I guess, transcend even life itself. I mean, hey, she can travel through space. She can travel through time. Who's to say that she can't, travel through the depths of the soul and what it means to be alive or dead? Schrodinger's Blaze.
Schrodinger's Blaze.
Oddly enough, like I do want to touch upon Burning Blaze a little bit more specifically, just briefly. Essentially just a super state. Instead of Sonic getting supersonic, we get Blaze getting Burning Blaze, but only under the influence of the Soul Emeralds. And I want to say we've only ever seen one individual utilize all the Soul Emeralds, and that's Blaze, which makes sense. And I don't think she does have the ability to use Chaos Emeralds because we saw that in Sonic 06. And oddly enough, she went burning, at least maybe partially burning, with those 2 Chaos Emeralds she was holding.
Yeah.
Not with the Soul Emeralds. Unless we are to say that she was still able to channel the power of all 7 Soul Emeralds in that moment when she needed them the most.
I don't think we see all 7 Chaos Emeralds in 06.
I don't believe.
Because we see like the green one and the blue one, and I feel like that's it. And
so that makes me wonder too, like, in talking a little bit more about Blaze's powers, not only can she sustain a super state that nobody else can because she's got access to the Soul Emeralds, it appears that she may have access to the Soul Emeralds powers at will, either consciously or subconsciously, making her even more powerful because unlike Sonic, who has to collect them all together like everybody else does, Blaze can just be like, hypothetically speaking, I need Soul Emerald power.
Actually, and that would make sense too, because as we've talked about previously, the Soul Emeralds are tethered in a way to the Soul Dimension, because like when Eggman took them, it started bringing the Soul Dimension into Sonic's dimension. So I feel like it's not too out there that because of how closely tied the Soul Emeralds are to Blaze, that when she's in another dimension, like they still have ties to her. It's like, oh, hi girl, you need power? We got you.
I love the idea of the Soul Emeralds being preppy like that.
Sup?
Oh yeah, my Soul Emeralds? I got them on speed dial.
Sup?
It's like Blaze is also like cordial and monarchical and being like, oh yes, I'm very respectful. Like, hold up, I'm getting a call. And you're like, sup? You're like, oh, sup? Oh, what up, girl? Hangs up, goes burning for a hot second. You're like, sorry, those are my friends.
I'm sorry about that. That was a very important political call.
And then Silver's just like, would you say that they rock?
And then she's like, no, nerd, slaps him. And then she's like, and who are you? One thing I read up on. So as we talked about in a previous episode, Solaris, Iblis, and Mephiles, end of '06, they are removed from the timeline. They never happened. And because of that, Blaze and Silver actually don't remember each other.
They actually don't.
Yeah, well, because, once Solaris was erased from the timeline, Blaze and Silver's lives were altered and their relationship was forgotten. So they don't have any memory of their relationship together, but they still work really well together. Even though their relationship never really existed like how it did in '06, they even have like almost kind of a deja vu kind of thing. Silver makes a comment that he feels like they've teamed up before, even though they haven't.
Suffice to say, Lycos, because Sonic doesn't remember who Elise is, I bet they would pair pretty well together, wouldn't they? Despite not knowing who each other are. How deep does this go, Lycos?
I don't know.
I don't want to go that far. Let's talk about Blaze's other relationships. And I didn't realize this because I didn't play Sonic Rush or Sonic Rush Adventures, but there are other people who exist in the Soul Dimension. Who knew?
It wasn't
and
just
I didn't
one
realize
person.
It wasn't just one. It was a whole freaking empire. Who knew? But most prominently, I found two characters, one of which I was surprised about, one of which I was like, I didn't know that you exist, but I love you already. The one that I was surprised about was Maureen, the raccoon. I did not realize that she was from the Soul Dimension.
Obviously, I did, because she was first introduced in Sonic Rush Adventure, because she's the one who finds Sonic and Tails as like,
oh my gosh.
We're friends now.
And like when I looked at Maureen the raccoon, I was like, wow, she seems really similar to Styx, who I think is also a raccoon.
No, Styx is a badger.
Styx is a badger.
Yes.
Okay, but they seemed really similar. They had a similar appearance to them. And apparently Blaze, the way that you just described Maureen is apparently on point, because I was reading that Blaze potentially finds Maureen kind of annoying. If anything, they're associates. And it just feels, I don't know, the power dynamic in my head of the normal denizen like Maureen having like, I don't know, I guess no power except for speed like every other main character does. Blaze just having the power of fire, flames, space, time, and life and death.
Maureen,
and the stars.
I don't think has that speed ability. I think she's more like Tails. She's more like an engineer.
Would you say that Marine's kind of like the Tails equivalent in the Soul Dimension?
I wouldn't use the term equivalent, but I would say very similar in terms of personality, of being like, again, like an engineer. Yeah, I'm reading on her page to make sure that I have this right.
She apparently also has a mysterious water power, quote, sonic.fandom.com.
What?
Mysterious water power? Wait. I don't know if you know about this. In the story's climax of Sonic Rush Adventure, Maureen suddenly manifests a mysterious water power which lets her fire a water blast from her fists. Which makes sense. Her name is Maureen, right? Blaze's name is Blaze for fire, Maureen for water, but like, what? I think, Lycos, suffice to say that the cat is on fire and the raccoon is drowning.
Yep.
And Sonic still can't swim. And apparently Blaze is not dead.
Also, I love this.
Shocker.
I love the mental image of her being a raccoon. I just think of, have you ever seen the video of a raccoon trying to eat cotton candy?
No.
So basically, raccoons, what they will do with food is they like to dip it in water to try and clean it before they eat it. But
oh, tragedy!
A cotton candy dissolves. So when the raccoon washes it, it all just dissolves. And the raccoon is really confused.
Is that the gif where like the raccoon puts it in and then the hands are just empty? They're like,
I think so.
I just had an image in my head of Maureen being like doing the same thing, but like taking a cotton candy and dipping it into the water and pulling it back up and being like,
no, better. She dips Sonic upside down in the water. When she pulls him out, he's just dead in her hands.
Sonic's just like drowning in there. You start hearing the it brings him back up and he's like,
no, but she takes him out like after the last second, so it's already the ba-dung, and she just pulls him out and he's just dead in her hands, and she just doesn't even know.
And then in a total twist of fate, much like the Animal Kingdom itself, Maureen tries to take a bite out of Sonic.
Okay, and I was wrong about her being like a builder. She's not amazing at building. She wanted to be a sea captain and basically tried to build her own boat to less than ideal success. So then for Sonic Rush Adventure, Tails builds her a boat, the Wave Cyclone.
As opposed to a tornado, a cyclone. Right?
Cyclone and Tornado. Those are two names that they use constantly in the Sonic franchise. What was the name of the upgrade one they get in Sonic X? Because that's what I'm thinking of.
I don't remember.
Because I know they get rid of the biplane for that. Yeah, it becomes the X tornado. That's it.
Yeah, I think Tails uses tornado a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe Cyclone is like the sole equivalent because tornado and Cyclone, they're both.
Well, except I feel like
beasts.
Tails also uses Cyclone.
So there was one other character that I wanted to talk about, and that was apparently Blaze's like right-hand man, her personal guard, Gardon.
Because I believe...
Do you know who Gardon is?
I read a little bit about Gardon. He's basically one of her like guard/advisors, and he's only in the... Isn't he like only in the IDW comics?
In the IDW comics, but also like in Sonic Rush Adventure. She's apparently got like a squad of koalas called the Coconut Crew, which I think is hilarious. But it's Gardon who's got to get his guard on.
I do love Gardon.
Characters.
I'm looking at him right now. What a lad. But yeah, I think it was they were part of the reason why people in the community started joking that the Soul Dimension is literally just Australia.
Oh, because the koalas!
Because I think of like all of the citizens, well, minus Marine, but like all of the citizens we've seen of the Soul Dimension are primarily koalas.
Yeah, wait a minute. Yeah, there's a lot of them here.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at the list of people in the Coconut Crew, and I think they're all koalas. Daikun, Colonel, Gardon, Kylock, Muzzy, Setter, and Tabby are all koalas. Every single one of them.
Oh my god. Yeah, oh my god, they are all koalas. I found a shot of all of them.
That's great.
I found a shot of all of them in Blaze.
That is so great. And actually, speaking of the whole, like, it's an Australian thing, right? I was looking at Marine's page, which I just closed. They were saying that Marine uses terminology that's common in New Zealand.
Oh.
New Zealander and Australian English. Because apparently she uses the word struth a lot. STREWTH.
What does that mean?
In British English, it means God's truth, apparently. What is a struth? Struth, a minced form of God's truth. God's truth. Struth. Hold on, wait, here's the pronunciation. Struth. They say struth. Anagrams, truths, struths. A mild oath expressing surprise or generally added emphasis. New Zealand. Australia-ish.
Australia-ish.
No big giant spiders or kangaroos in the Sonic universe yet.
Oh, thank God. Well, actually, it wouldn't be Sonic Universe. It would be the Soul Dimension.
Big giant spider.
Oh, which
Sonic?
I would hate that.
Oops, spider is an ancient in Sonic Frontiers. Kangaroo in Sonic.
Yeah, do we
got any kangaroos?
Kangaroos? I don't think
Sonic
so.
Wiki Zone, we do have kangaroos. None of them appear to be obviously not pre-Genesis Wave.
Ah.
Walt the Wallaby, Hip and Hop, McHopper, just Kangaroo, and Benji.
So these are all pre-Super Genesis Wave.
I'm gonna check on each of them.
Okay.
I'm curious. Do we have any other kangaroos? This is pre-Super Genesis Wave. Benji. McHopper makes an appearance in the TV series as one of the Freedom Fighters. So not technically pre-Genesis or otherwise.
Well, that would be pre-Genesis because
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, any show that had to do with Freedom Fighters, that would be the Sonic the Hedgehog Sat AM and also Sonic Unleashed because both of, or not Sonic Unleashed, excuse me, Sonic Underground because both of those had Freedom Fighters. And still, those are both pre-Super Genesis Wave.
We have Hip and Hop, who are actually enemies in Sonic Spinball in the Veggio Fortress.
Oh.
Walt Wallaby is also not post-Genesis Wave. And then we have just, Lycos.
What?
I need to send you something.
Okay.
I have no words.
Okay. I need...
Speaking of kangaroos.
Hello there, sir.
What am I looking at? Click on the link, Lycos. It gets worse.
The link disappeared. I only have an image.
Here you go.
What is this?
What the heck is Sonic Schoolhouse?
What is Sonic Schoolhouse?
And why is the kangaroo spinning?
Well, actually, he's alternate. He doesn't do a full 360. He goes back and forth.
What is this?
What the heck?
What is this game?
Whoa.
What is Sonic Schoolhouse?
Oh, hang on. We gotta look. Oh no!
What is going on here?
Hang on.
This is freaky.
So, Sonic Schoolhouse is an educational video game in the Sonic the Hedgehog series developed by BAP Interactive and Orion Interactive. The game uses interactive classroom challenges to teach children from kindergarten through 4th grade mathematics, reading, and spelling.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
Dude, this game looks terrifying. It looks like it walked straight out of a claymation Uncanny Valley thing.
Like, I'm seeing, like, all, like, the math and reading and stuff, and I'm getting, did you ever play Baldi's Basics of Education and Learning? I'm getting that vibe from this.
Dude. I'm trying to find this game. No way.
We gotta play this.
It's on the Internet Archive.
Oh man.
I think I just found it.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Wait. Dr. Robotnik and his bandits show up to steal answers, or in the ring hunt minigame, get in the way of collecting rings.
What the heck?
At the conclusion of the game, the player can physically print a list of all the correct answers, as well as a certificate showing the number of gumballs they earned in each gameplay.
Gumballs?
Listen, I skipped most of this, but man.
Okay. I know you were supposed to be talking about Blaze, but we went from Blaze to Life and Death to Marine to New Zealand to Australia to kangaroos
to Sonic Schoolhouse.
I mean, let me check in. Like, do you think we missed anything about Blaze, or is that just like?
I don't think we did, because as awesome as she is, there's not too much about her, I'm afraid, which makes me sad. Can we get more Blaze, please? Because I think the last time we had her in a video game that wasn't like an Olympic Games was Murders of Sonic the
Hedgehog, right?
Yeah, I think that was the last time we got her, because I don't think she was in Frontier, and I don't even think she was in Forces, which that's very interesting, actually, because you'd think the Soul Emeralds would be like, hey girl, by the way, your friend might kind of die, so get on that. Bye-bye.
Get on it.
So I'm surprised she's not there, because of all of, like, the people not a part of Sonic's, like, planet world to help out. Like, we have, like, wisps helping out and stuff. Yeah, we don't have the neighbor across the dimension. Blaze, I think you dropped the ball on that one. You know what? Maybe that was it. She just dropped the yarn ball and just couldn't help herself. She had to keep going at the yarn ball.
Yeah, maybe that's just how it is. Blaze apparently can potentially get easily distracted, because in another podcast episode from Ian Flynn, the question was, if Dr. Starline took a bubble wand filled with gasoline and brought it to the Soul Dimension to attack the Soul Empire, would Starline win? and Ian was basically, and I think they were basically saying that, just like, yeah, like Blaze would try to attack the bubbles with, would poke at it, or try to throw flames at it. The flames would explode because gasoline. Mm-hmm. That, or she'd poke it and the surface tension might get her trapped on the inside. But I think then he said just like Marine would come in and pop the bubbles and correspondingly throw them back at Dr. Starline, and then he would die. I thought that was hilarious.
I love the random thoughts of the Sonic community asking questions like that. Like that those are the real questions that plague our world these days.
I think that's the real spirit of innovation here in the Sonic community.
Mm-hmm. Also, technological innovation. Why didn't Eggman Nega think of that? Just gasoline bubbles against Blaze. It would have worked. Potentially.
Yeah, man. But, I mean, hey, she's invulnerable to fire. Nobody said anything about explosions.
Yeah, no. I'm willing to bet.
But like cannonballs.
Yeah, cannonballs.
They're pirates, right?
Or like missiles, because again, they're robot pirates. So like, yeah, those would still hurt.
Fair.
So yeah,
rocket-propelled cannonballs?
Dude, explosions still hurt.
Speaking of hurts, what's next?
I don't know.
What are we talking about next? Sonic Schoolhouse.
Can we do
I don't think there's a whole episode's worth of it.
No, I don't think so, but
I am going to try to see if I can get this game to run, and maybe we should do like a small live stream of the game.
Yes, we should. Most definitely.
That'd be so wild.
That'd be so funny. Are we smarter than a fifth grader? Are we smarter than a fourth? Are we as smart as a fourth grader? 2 adults versus Sonic Schoolhouse. Who will win?
I'm looking more into this Sonic Schoolhouse game, and I am terrified.
So you're saying we have to now. We are contractually obligated, because it says in the fine print, if we are mentally scarred by something, we have to play it against our will or otherwise.
Like, there's an unusual clock character that also does the weird spinny thing, and just a statue of Knuckles.
Oh.
In a stage called just Concentration. 3D Concentration.
Oh man, this is great. We're gonna have to get into this next time. So what are we gonna talk about next time? I don't know. We'll figure it out. So stay tuned. So thank you guys so much for listening. I am Lycos Lore. You can find me on YouTube where I am blending two of my favorite games together and seeing what happens.
And I'm Cameron with an X, and I'm still blown away by the horrors of Sonic Schoolhouse. You can find me on Twitch and YouTube. I mix cocktails and drinks based off of like this. Until next time, y'all. See you at school.
Bye, y'all.